Here's your wrestling news from March 11th, 2023, and we're kicking off with Smackdown, and all week, fans have been asking the question, why Jay, why? After betraying Sami Zayn on Raw, Jay explained himself last night, saying it was a choice he didn't want to make, but ultimately, his family comes first. After mentioning Roman Reigns' WrestleMania opponent Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare wasted no time in appearing, and it wasn't long until Sami Zayn appeared to attack Jay. This brawl ended with the faces standing tall in an effective way to build towards WrestleMania, even without an appearance by the Tribal Chief. While the Usos vs. Zayn and Kevin Owens hasn't been made official, expect the announcement in due time, and for WrestleMania 39 to likely be a bad night for the Bloodline. Smackdown opened up with an epic 5-way match to determine Gunther's challenger at WrestleMania, with every combatant being given the chance to shine. Xavier Woods was arguably the MVP of the match, especially after previously speaking about the significance having a singles title opportunity means to him, but it simply wasn't his night. Instead, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus simultaneously pinned two different opponents, making the match a no contest and infuriating the Intercontinental Champion. Adam Pearce informed Gunther that McIntyre and Sheamus will go one-on-one next week to decide his WrestleMania challenger, but after this uncertain finish and the reports, expect a triple threat match next month. Since returning to WWE in January, Vince McMahon has been seeking a new owner of the promotion, a process that WWE believes shouldn't take long. Last month, Nick Khan said that he expected a new owner to be found and the papers to be signed within a matter of 3 months, and now WWE is ready to take a major step. According to a report from CNBC, WWE is preparing to accept first-round bids from potential buyers. As they report, WWE is set to meet with potential buyers for the company next month in preparation for first-round bids, two of the people said. There's no assurance a transaction will take place. The fact that they are preparing to receive bids does not guarantee that offers will come flooding in, though, especially with McMahon hoping for the company to be sold for over $9 billion. It's also worth mentioning that some of the biggest names originally listed as possible buyers, namely Endeavor and Comcast, have both expressed the view that they aren't interested in taking on such a major purchase at this time. When this situation began, many considered Comcast to be the favorites to be WWE's next owners, and while that looks unlikely now, we'll have to see what bids come in, if any, next month. Hall of Fame news now, as after much waiting and anticipation, the WWE Universe finally knows one member of this year's class, and it's an interesting pick to say the least. Last night, WWE confirmed that Rey Mysterio, an active superstar, will be going into the Hall of Fame after a legendary career across various promotions. From being a 3-time world champion to having classic feuds against the likes of Eddie Guerrero and CM Punk, Rey is very much deserving of the accolade, and we can only hope that Dominic doesn't spoil this special night. Mysterio is bound for the WWE Hall of Fame, but we may already know another name, as PW Insider reports that the Great Muta will also be a part of this year's class. Unlike Mysterio, who wrestles for WWE to this day, Muta never competed for WWE, and retired just a few weeks ago. As part of his retirement tour, Triple H allowed Shinsuke Nakamura the opportunity to face the legendary wrestler, and given how legendary Muta is, we imagine it wasn't a difficult choice for the game. What do you think of these inductees, and who would you like to see go in next? Sound off in the comments. Now, Alexa Bliss hasn't competed on WWE programming since the Royal Rumble, and this week it was reported that the goddess was on hiatus. Bliss has now refuted that claim, as in a series of tweets, she said that she is not on a hiatus and that WWE knows where to find her. The former champion added that fans only see what parts of life I want you to see, and those fans will just have to keep guessing what's next for Bliss, who seemingly isn't on a hiatus. Since his return to WWE, Cody Rhodes has been one of the company's top babyfaces, but he hasn't been the only superstar beloved by the fans. Sami Zayn's storyline with the Bloodline has made him one of WWE's most popular acts, and it's no secret that some fans believe Sami should be the one who dethrones Roman Reigns, not Cody. Speaking on the Out of Character podcast, Cody gave props to Sami's work and expressed his hope that fans don't turn him and Zayn against each other. I look at it as a challenge. It's probably the best way to look at it, and not a negative challenge. A challenge of, Sami's doing amazing things. You didn't just buy yourself some future spot, you've got to get back in there and show people exactly what you can do. And actually, the photo you have now, Rhodes and Zayn face to face on Raw, was a really fine moment for me because what a great problem to have when you have two very strong characters. And one of the worst things we can do as a community is try and turn the characters against one another. Sami and I have a real genuine relationship. I never looked at it in a sense that I thought anything of, well, if they love him, and if that I've been so lucky that they love me in this moment too, I better make sure I give them the absolute best. I never once looked at it as a problem. I looked at it as a challenge, and for WWE as a whole, a great problem to have. And I think Brooklyn, every show is a little more telling, but Brooklyn in the Barclays Center was what filled me with confidence as far as their belief in what he's doing and their belief in what I'm doing. There are stories to be finished here for both sides. WWE must be very careful not to overpush Cody Rhodes, which could lead to fan backlash, which is ironically the same thing that happened to Roman Reigns during his rise to the top in 2015. WWE has struggled for so long to have naturally popular babyfaces, and now they have two at the same time. And now the real task will be making sure that both remain popular in the eyes of fans. For much of his AEW career, Matt Hardy was the leader of the Hardy Family Office stable, but that group did not exactly set the world on fire. The group didn't last long once Hardy left the faction, and on a recent edition of his Extreme Life podcast, Matt explained that the group became watered down as more members were added at the request of Tony Khan. It wasn't long after Matt's departure from the group that he reunited with his brother Jeff, and with the latter's recent DUI case officially closed, we'll have to see what's next for both Hardy brothers. More from AEW, as the All Elite fans have proven to be incredibly loyal and never shy away from putting the product over. And this week, some fans gave an entirely new meaning to loyalty. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that during this week's Dynamite, some fans were handing money to wrestlers throughout the show, including $100 bills, but it's unclear why. With a billionaire boss and several income revenues, it's hardly like AEW is strapped for cash, but these fans wanted to make sure that the wrestlers knew just how much they appreciated their efforts. At Starrcade 1999, a kick by Bill Goldberg would cause the concussion that would put the end to Bret Hart's wrestling career, and the Hitman has held a grudge ever since. Bret's concussion robbed the wrestling world of what would be some iconic matches, and Kurt Angle isn't exactly in the mood to forgive Goldberg either. Speaking to Inside the Ropes, Kurt said that for a time, he had hoped to face Bret in what would have become a classic, and agreed with the jeers from the fans at the mention of Bill, adding, Goldberg. Goldberg has apologized for years, but said last year that he has finished saying sorry, but what happened over 20 years ago continues to be a sticking point for Bret, Kurt, and other wrestlers. While some in AEW are vehemently against the return of the suspended CM Punk, it's impossible to ignore the fact that AEW's ratings began struggling in 2022 once he was no longer on TV. Last weekend, AEW hosted Revolution, their second pay-per-view since Punk's suspension, and while the show has been praised by fans, the numbers tell a different story. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's revealed that the event generated 50,000 searches on the day, making it the 12th most searched topic, a mere 10th of what WWE achieved with their Elimination Chamber event last month. Given that AEW outperformed WWE in pay-per-view Google searches in 2021, it's clear that something needs to change. And what would you do in Tony Khan's shoes to turn AEW's business around?